that the ones who are closer to nature will have the best chance to survival. Let me repeat that. The closer you are and connected to nature, the more likely you will survive. This is why grounding is so important. This is why eating a plant-based diet is so important. This is why connecting with nature, breathing is so important.
Yeah.
Connecting with nature and going outside to breathe. This is why taking the time, if you're close to a body of water, take the time to sit by the river. Take the time to sit by the ocean. If you're connected to some mountains, go to the mountains and connect with the mountains, because these are energetic portals that our ancestors, and science is confirming this.
Life's a journey, yeah. God in disguise, ever paths we walk out with lands I rise. In this podcast realm, we're diving deep, unraveling the threads that the universe keeps. Name of life, we explore, unfold dreams, empower minds, ignite those inner beams. Voices rise, tales of courage and strife. Welcome to the journey, the game of life. Game of life, we explore, unfold dreams, empower minds, ignite those inner beams. Voices rise, tales of courage and strife. We to the journey, the game of life.
All right. Peace, family. Welcome in. Welcome to the Game of Life podcast. I appreciate everybody for being here. We have an amazing guest today. I know I said it every time, but hey, we got some amazing people that are really out here doing this. So today we have someone who bridges ancestral wisdom, holistic healing, and cultural empowerment. Antonio Staval is an educator, a healer, and community leader. He's dedicated to mindfulness and transformation and shaping lives in powerful ways, family. We got a lot of good things we're going to be talking about. Really, I just want to dive right in. And how you doing today, Antonio?
I'm doing amazing, brother. Thank you for allowing me to be on your amazing platform, good brother. Give thanks.
I appreciate that. Yeah. So, family, usually the way we start is I dive right in. I don't even waste time. But you know what? Today we have such a special guest that I want to go ahead and dive into some of the cultural aspects of some of the things that the brother's going to be talking about. And so we're going to start with a brief ceremony to bring in the ancestors. So go ahead and take over, brother.
Tokoza, thank you, brother. Tokoza, this means this a greeting, just a way to greet and to acknowledge not only myself but yourself and our ancestors as well. So Tokoza. So my name is Mkhulu Kulah Makhosina, and I am a Sangoma. Sangoma is also known as a soul doctor. So today, what I would like to do is just introduce and bring in the ancestral energy. And just to bless this particular this interview, and let's see what can happen. I already know this is going to be a powerful interview. Give thanks. So Tokoza, hey, I give thanks for this moment. We give thanks for this body, for this mind. Hey, call upon Mkhulu, Ndinki, Nguni, Izitunwa, Ndawe. Call upon all the ancestors, known and unknown. Hey, seen and unseen. Hey, we call upon all the magical beings, all the ancient ones to come to bring balance to this moment, to bring balance to our minds, to our bodies, to our spirits. Hey, may this interview touch millions of our people. Hey, may this interview travel all around the world, enlightening those who are seeking light, those who are learning to master not only the light, but also learning to master the darkness as well. It is my wish that this interview and the wisdom from this interview helps people connect with the power of their ancestors, their roots, their origins. It is my wish that this interview helps with reprogramming the blood and reconnecting us to our ancient DNA. and may this interview help us realize that we are all interconnected. We are connected to not only each other, but we are connected to the earth. We are connected to the cosmos, and we are one and the same. Tokoza, assalamu alaikum, hotep, hetapu, all the universal greetings from all around the world, because at the end of the day, we're the same people. We all looking to master self. We're all looking to lighten our heart, and we're all looking to become a better version of ourselves. Give thanks. Tokoza.
Give
Give
thanks.
thanks,
I
brother.
love it.
Yes, yes, yes.
I love it. Yeah, I love when we create that space.
Yeah.
We talk about being all interconnected. Understanding your divine
Yes.
self. It's just a beautiful thing, and you feel it.
Mm-hmm.
You feel it, even though this is a virtual conversation. I feel
Yeah.
that. You know what I'm saying? I resonate with that. And it doesn't matter what vibrational word choices you want to use, because it's the energy that's resonating from everything that you're communicating and saying
Mm-hmm.
that is so
Mm-hmm.
powerful,
Give thanks.
right? That divine intent, and I feel that, brother. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
give thanks, brother. I
I
appreciate you
appreciate
for
it.
giving this opportunity again, just to be a part of your amazing show. Give thanks.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, let's dive right in. So, me, I got to do family. Y'all know I got to do my homework. And so I got to challenge some perspectives, and we just have straight conversations. So, first off, brother, I see that on a lot of your work that you produce, you talk about how the only way out
Mm-hmm.
is
Mm-hmm.
in, right? And so I couldn't help but want to start with this. So, what is spiritual warfare from your perspective? And coming back to self, you made a video, I believe, on TikTok about that, coming back to
Mm-hmm.
self, and you asked several questions. So let's just start with what is spiritual warfare, and how does that relate to coming back to self?
Mm-hmm. So to me, spiritual warfare starts within. Like the biggest enemy starts within self, and that's why one of my quotes is, "The only way out is in." The only way to overcome the internal battles and the internal struggles that we are going through, because as humans been on this journey, we all experience the internal chaos, the depression, the stress, the worry, the anxiety. However, in order for us to truly overcome that, we have to start going within ourselves, so we can start to master that aspect of ourselves. And I think the reason why we see a lot of war, we see a lot of fighting, especially within our community, is because we have a hard time understanding who we are. But it's once you truly understand who you are, it's hard for you to find yourself battling and going wanting to harm another wanting to harm another human being. It's different if we're talking about self-defense. But if we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about you just wanting to go harm somebody, if you truly have mastered yourself, or you on the path of mastering yourself, that's not even going to cross your mind, because you're going to see that we are mirrors of each other. I am you, you are me. So we are mirrors of each other. So to me, spiritual warfare is the war within self.
Now let's pick, like, we're gonna take that a level deeper, because you asked several questions along with this topic that I think are
Mm-hmm.
powerful. Powerful from a standpoint of perspective, of really taking the time and breaking it down. Um, in fact, it even goes to what we were talking about before we start recording. When we get some of this knowledge, it's not enough to just say, "Oh, okay, I heard that now, and I'm moving on to the next cool thing or exciting thing." I got to actually take
Yeah.
time and sit with
Mm-hmm.
that, right? So let me go down this list of questions that you
Mm-hmm.
asked. So you asked, "Come back to the self.
Mm-hmm.
What is self?
Mm-hmm.
How old is
Mm-hmm.
self? When was self born?
Mm-hmm.
When will self die?
Mm-hmm.
Who am I?
Mm-hmm.
What am I?" And then you gave a couple answers, and this is really gets deep. I think people really need to sit with this. You said, "I am the observer
Mm-hmm.
of this body.
Yes.
I am the observer of this
Mm-hmm.
mind." Meaning, I am not the body.
Mm-hmm.
I have connection to the
Mm-hmm.
body. I'm inside the
Mm-hmm.
body, but that the body is not me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very deep. That's very powerful. However, instead of putting my spin and perspective on it, what did that mean to you? Why did you feel so called to put that out there to the collective, to the community, for wisdom and understanding?
So early on my journey, I got into meditation. I started studying different meditation masters, and I came across a brother named Muji. I don't know if you heard of Muji before, but
Nah, but in each video, I take notes,
yeah,
and this is
check
gonna
out
be one
Muji.
of
So
them.
Muji, you spell his name Mooji. So Muji basically deals with self inquiry, and one of the biggest things that he talks about the importance to inquire, because once you start to inquire, you start to hold up again that mirror. And the deeper you go within yourself, you start to see, hold up, I am not the things that society, my family, the things that the titles, I am not that. Because once you go and start to meditate, you start to see that these ideas, these emotions, these things are coming and going. But what is not coming and going is the observer, is the awareness. And that is truly who we are. We are the observer. We are the awareness. And this is an aspect of us that doesn't die, because it wasn't born, and it can never die as well. So with that being said, also, if you study the works of, I'm also a student of Dr. Joe Dispenza. He talks about becoming nothing, and at the same time becoming everything. So once you learn how to tap into the quantum field, he talks about, in order for us to learn how to tap into the quantum field, we have to drop the idea of who we think we are, that we are the body, that we are the mind, that we are black, that we are white, that we are this, that we are that. In order for you to truly tap into that quantum field, you have to drop all these things. And then once you learn how to drop these ideas, this is when you can really start to tap into your unlimited potential. Because the more we identify with certain titles, certain labels, we put ourselves in the box. And this is one of the reasons why we're seeing so much discussion and debating and division on TikTok, dealing with, are we African American or are we Native Americans? Or are we this and are we that? To me, I embrace all of it. I am that, I am that. But at the same time, when I go to my highest forms of spirituality, when I go into myself and I meditate, I see that I'm more than that.
Right.
So I'm not just going to limit myself to one landman. I'm just not going to limit myself to America. I'm just not going to limit myself to Africa. I'm gonna deal with my ancestors taught me, was to bridge, to bring everything together. I learned this from Dr. Jewel Pookrum. I studied
Okay.
under Dr. Jewel Pookrum, and she talked about the importance of having a whole brain, meaning learning how to put everything together, learning how everything is interconnected. And one of the reasons why I continue to evolve on my path is because I'm not attached to my achievements. I'm not attached to my initiations. I'm not attached to my teachers and the things that I've learned. I'm not attached to it. Even there's a proverb, like a kung fu proverb, that says, it talks about the importance of emptying your cup. So when you learn a new martial art, it's, say for example, you learn kung fu, and then you have an opportunity to learn another art. The goal is to empty your cup, because when you learn how to empty your cup, you now put yourself in a space to where you can learn more. So getting back to the self, once I truly started to understand the self, I started to see that I can learn, and I can build with anybody, because at the end of the day, I
Right.
see my interconnection with every and everybody.
Right. Right. It makes things easier to see the world. I would argue you see the world differently once you see yourself
Yes,
fully.
yes,
But you got to see
yes,
yourself fully first, which is why it starts with self. Everything lies with self.
yes,
Everything,
yes,
all the answers, all the questions. You can't really be deceived very easily when you know who self is.
yes, yes. And
You see the
and
games.
also, another one of my teachers, Brother Panic. I don't know. Have you ever heard of Brother Panic?
Uh huh.
Okay,
Yep.
so
Yep.
Brother Sarnetta had asked him a question about, again, that same question: Are we African American? Are we Native American, etc.? And Brother Panic was like, I don't even deal with those types of questions, because at the end of the day, we are everything. And
Right.
at the end of the day, like, again, if you sit back and observe these people, again, on TikTok, that's having these debates, at the end of the day, it becomes ego. It becomes a
I
lot of
completely
it
agree.
becomes a lot of disrespect. A lot of people being disrespectful towards each other, and it's coming from both sides. It's coming from the brothers who identifying with, again, being Native American or Aboriginal or Indian, American Indian, and it's coming from the other side too, with brothers who may be identified with being African or African American. So,
Right.
me personally, brother, Bruce Lee said that to be for or against is the mind's worst disease. So, me personally,
Right.
I don't get into that debate. You know what I'm saying? I just learn from it, and just keep
Right.
moving forward, because probably in the next 5-10 years it's going to be something else. You understand what I'm saying? So,
Yep, absolutely. And it's interesting. Um, I don't feel the need to debate with many people about who we
yeah.
are, what we are,
Hmm.
and all these kind of things. I simply don't feel the need to, partially because of everything that you just said. I've learned the art of detachment,
Yes.
and I've made it to what I believe is the bottom of the rabbit hole of all the different conspiracies and why these things happen, etc. It's because I am. I
Mm.
simply know that.
Hmm.
I've reconnected to that. And so when you realize you are everything and everything is you,
Yes.
then the question becomes, why am I arguing with
Yes.
you?
Yes.
It really
Yes.
does. There's no, it's everything is now perspective,
Hmm.
and that's why I created the show. Now we're back full circle. Why everybody can understand. If you're new, welcome in, welcome to class, welcome to this conversation about perspective.
Hmm.
If I teach you, if I talk to you about something that's from the fifth dimension, and you talk about something from the third dimension, we can both be
Yeah.
right. Why are we arguing?
Yes. There you
We're
go.
just having two different
Hmm.
perspectives on what life
Hmm.
is, the observance,
Yeah.
as you put it,
Yes.
right? It's the same exact thing, same exact concept. So I appreciate that, because that's a very deep. I love that we started there. It's a very deep perspective to jump right into, and we're gonna go into even more. And we have to kind of start the mindset with that.
Hmm.
Now, we can't start deep though. We can't stay deep though. We
Hmm.
got to kind of bring it back full circle. So I gotta know about you, brother. What I want to take it back to how you got here.
Hmm.
We know that you've arrived. We know that you've made it back to
Hmm.
self. But how did you get here? So first, I want to take it back to childhood. Were you always spiritual? Were you always tapped in, or did it kind of take a while for you to really go down the path?
Hmm. So, I was reading a book a couple years ago by Sadhguru. What's it called? I think it's called Inner Technology or something like that. And he talked about as a child how he would have meditative experiences, meaning like he would be sitting in a tree and he would become aware of his body, or he would be sitting somewhere and he would become aware of his breath, but become conscious of it. Um, and the more I thought about that, that was similar to my experience as a child. I never experienced quote unquote supernatural things. Like I never seen ghosts or shadow people or anything like that. But I can
Mm-hmm.
remember as a child me sitting on my chair, sitting in the chair, and I'm noticing, hold up, I feel something on my foot.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time I didn't understand that. But as I got deeper into meditation, as I got deeper into yoga, I started to see that, hold up, that was me becoming aware and relaxing my foot. And then as I got older, I got into oh, another thing too. When I used to play football, I used to could focus my mind. When somebody threw a pass to me, I used to focus my mind. And when I would focus my mind, I would hear a Native American chant. So as I got older, I thought to myself, like, dang, like, so I was learning like a chanting technique within myself as a youth. So again, as I got older, I would go to the basketball court and I would spend hours and hours playing basketball, working on the perfect shot, doing the same motion every single time. And then once I got into martial art, I was like, dang, like my Sifu was teaching me this particular technique, and I'm constantly training it over and over and over. Then I was developing that when I was playing basketball. So,
Right.
so inwardly, brother, I always had this, I don't know, this meditative awareness in me as a youth. And then as I got older, um, I was an amazing basketball player. I got a full ride at a Division II college in here in Virginia. Um, and I remember my first year in college, man, I went through a deep depression. I was going through some deep depression. And then one day I was at home and I was watching TV and an infomercial came on talking about natural cures. And this was probably back in 2005. So what happened was then I went to my mother's room. I started to Google natural cures. And then what came up, natural cures for depression, natural cures for depression. So what came up was meditation. And as soon as I started meditating, and keep in mind, nobody taught me how to meditate. But as soon as I started meditating, listening to guided meditations, listening to certain frequency, it just clicked. It just clicked. And then moving forward, I constantly, again, I was practicing meditation, doing my, and then eventually I left school. And then in 20, no, and then eventually I got into I changed up my diet, but I still wasn't feeling complete.
That'll happen.
Yeah, I still wasn't feeling complete. You know what I'm saying? Something was still off. So then in 2012, I got a call. To make a long story short, my mother had just transitioned. She was murdered. So in that moment, brother, I could have done two things. I could have went on the path of self-destruction, or I could have went on the path of seeking out how to heal myself from this situation. So I knew how to destroy myself. My brother was in the streets. My cousins was in the streets. Even though I didn't come from a big city, I call it poverty consciousness. Poverty consciousness is everywhere. It's not just in bigger cities. When I say poverty consciousness, I'm talking about people who are living in ignorance. They're focused on alcoholism, drugs, abuse. You know what I'm saying? That is everywhere. No, it's just not in bigger cities. It's just everywhere. So I grew up around poverty consciousness. People who can't see beyond their hood. They can't see beyond their upbringing. Right. So I knew how to destroy myself. So I was like, you know what? I want to take a different route. So what I did was, I was blessed with certain finances, and I started to go out seeking teachers. And one of the first things I did, I had the opportunity to study with a particular tribe called the Dogons for 2.5 years.
Did you?
Yes. I went through their initiation school called Umtam, and we studied Kat Ibi, which is traditional meditation. Studied the Medu Neter, which is the Egyptian hieroglyphs, and Sunt, which is traditional healing. So I studied with them for 2.5 years, and that right there just opened my mind to a totally new reality.
I already believe. Yeah, I
know. Because with that, brother, I mean, I started to understand what culture was. Like, I now understand the importance of culture. I now understand the importance of honoring your ancestors. I now understand the importance of natural time. Because when I was studying with them, they were living by a 13-month calendar.
Yeah, a whole different set of time.
A whole different set of time. Instead of 7 days in a week, they're living with 10 days in a week. Instead of holidays, they have holy days. Holy days and honoring the Netaru and honoring the ancestors. Right. So it was
with purpose, right? Not just honoring, but
and the thing is, another thing too, we were actually in a community. So, and what's crazy, brother, what made me want to join this organization was not because of the adults. It was because one time I went to this event, and I'm talking about children who were 4 to 5 years old coming up to me, wanting to shake my hand with their right hand, showing extreme discipline, self-control. And again, I come from the hood, and I'm not used to that. You know what I'm saying? I'm used to kids running around, acting wild, acting crazy. You know what I'm saying? Being kids. But with these kids, there was a totally different type of vibe, extremely, extremely intelligent. So I was like, if the children are like this, just imagine how the adults are. So I was like, you know what? I want to study under these people. And so for 2.5 years, brother, I traveled to West Virginia every other week. I traveled to West Virginia it was like a 7-hour trip on a Greyhound. For 2.5 years, brother, I stayed with an elder called Elder Nginge. He was a professor at West Virginia State. I stayed with him, and he was just dedicated to the organization and dedicated to the teachings. of what we were learning. So I had a mentor, I had a guide on showing me how to pray, how to cleanse myself when I do my prayers. You know what I'm saying? How to study the information. Not only how to study information, good brother, but how to implement the information. You know what I'm saying? To change your life. So
Mm-hmm.
so I had the opportunity to study with them, and then I studied with another brother called Chief Amachi. May he rest in peace, down in Atlanta. He was actually in the movie Black Panther. He was one of the soldiers of the gorilla tribe. He was one of the brothers.
Yeah.
So I studied with him, and with studying with him, I learned divination and how to protect myself spiritually. You know what I'm saying? When you're being
Yep.
spiritually
It's
attacked,
important.
I learned that. So I learned the divination, and then I had the opportunity to study with Queen of Four. I don't know if you ever heard of Queen of Four. So I
Yeah,
went,
you dropping some big
yeah.
names,
So I had the
brother.
opportunity to study with Queen of Four. I went to Queen of Four's house. I met her mother. Her mother was in her 90s. Her mother's probably in the hundreds now. I studied with her sons, Supernova Slum, brother Ali. Um, yeah, so I was a part of the Man Heal Thyself um movement. I was one of the
Mm-hmm.
originals back in 2017. I'm one of the original Man Heal Thyself members. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
moving forward, I met during that process. I met a brother named um, Wanique Shabazz. Wanique
Okay.
Shabazz, and he was also connected to Dr. Jewel Pulcrum. So this is how I
Mm-hmm.
met Dr. Jewel Pulcrum. So I basically got in. I started to study under Dr. Jewel Pulcrum. She had a university called I think I forget the name of the university, but basically it was about brain balancing, looking at sacred geometry, meditating on it, and the more you do this, the more it starts to synchronize the left and the right hemispheres of the brain. And
Okay.
over time, she started to introduce us to the 13 moon 28-day calendar. So through that process and dealing with Wani Shabazz, he was basically one of the ones that specialized in that particular paradigm of time. So he taught me about my GPS, which is my galactic purpose signature. And I found out that I was uh the white mirror. And the white mirror basically is, so you have the 13 tones in the 20 solar seals. The 20 seals are the 20 faces of God. So under the 20 faces of God, I was the white mirror. So the white mirror actually incarnated on earth as a yogi. Keep in mind, as a child, brother, I told you I had a meditative awareness. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
Right.
once I learned my
Yeah.
so once I learned my GPS, I was like, hold up, I'm a yogi. I'm supposed to here. I'm here. I was put here to teach people how to meditate. I was like, dang. So in my mind, one thing I learned with the Dogons, brother, is if you want to become a better martial artist, you don't go to study under a basketball player, or you don't go to study under a mechanic. You go look for a martial artist.
Right.
So
Right.
once I learned that I was a yogi, I was like, hold up, I need to go find a yogi to study up under. So I
Right.
found Yasir Rahotep, a brother from Chicago, who teaches Kemetic yoga. And he had certification graduations in Atlanta, New York, and he had one in Egypt. And this is the first one he was going to do in Egypt. He goes to Egypt twice a year, but this was the first time he was going to do a certification, Kemetic yoga certification in Egypt. So I was like, you know what? I don't even know how I'm gonna pay for it, but I'm gonna try to go to Egypt.
I'm going.
Man, so
Yeah.
brother, it worked out. I studied for a year.
Wait, what year was this? What year was this? Did you go to Egypt?
I said this is so when I was going through the Man Heal Thyself and the Dr. Jewel Pooker information, that was around like 2014. And when I went to Egypt, it was around like 2016, 2017.
Okay.
So with that being said, so I went to Egypt for 2.5 weeks, had the opportunity to meditate in the pyramids, had the opportunity to meditate in the different temples. I went with Brother Jabari. I don't know if you know who Brother Jabari is.
Now that name, out of the many names you said recently, I don't
So
recognize.
Brother
I have to look
Jabari
it.
basically he's on Sinetta TV. You know who Sinetta is, right?
I've heard of
Oh,
it. I don't actually
okay.
know.
Sinetta TV is basically he's like the godfather of consciousness, meaning like he's the one that put on Brother Rich. Anybody that you're seeing doing like interviewing, like doing what you're doing, Sinetta is like the one who started that basically. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting. See, this is why I'm doing this, because I not only need more knowledge and information around these people, but also it's
Yeah.
just not enough. It's not enough.
Yeah, so when you get a chance, brother, look up Sinetta, Saneter, Sinetta TV. So he's the brother that brought on, that gave starlight to people like Brother Polite. I don't know if you know Brother Polite, Young
Yep.
Pharaoh,
Yep. Yep.
Dr. Umar Johnson, King Simon, Brother Rich, Dr.
Mm-hmm.
Phil Valentine, like Bobby Hemmett. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's the one. Like, so you get a chance.
That's crazy, because I've learned from all those people. I just hadn't heard of the
Yeah,
source,
so he's
right?
the
That
source. So
source.
he's not usually the one giving the information. He's just the one that's promoting and interviewing these people. So so having the opposite, so Brother Jabari is always on his show. He's like a person that's a regular, and he's like a Kemetic priest and historian. So I went to Egypt or Kemet with him. So he's basically, as we're going to these temples, he's reading off the Medu Neter. He knows how to read it. So he's reading off the information. He's giving us historical context. He's giving us spiritual context. You know what I'm saying? Going into a pyramid, brother, is a powerful experience. And
I'm going in a month.
so brother, so when you go into these pyramids, you enter into a instant meditation.
Mm.
Your mind slows down. Your thoughts become amplified. Any thought that you have, brother, if you close your eyes, you're gonna be there.
Mm.
Negative thoughts will not exist. For some reason, when you're in these high vibrational spaces, a negative thought doesn't hold any weight. It will come, but eventually, as fast as it comes, it will leave because of the energy. So being in the pyramid is powerful. So again, like I said, I had the opportunity to study and there and with these two master teachers for 2.5 weeks in Egypt. And then, brother, I came back to my city, and doors just start opening up for me, brother, left and right, left and right, left and right. And then I started working in the school systems. I started teaching at different churches. I started teaching at after school programs. So many doors started opening up for me, but I didn't stop there. I didn't stop. You know what I'm saying? So right before the pandemic, during the pandemic, matter of fact, right before the pandemic, I was still studying the 13 moon 28-day calendar, and I was doing rituals at the river because I live by a river. That's something I live in. The city I live in is called Roanoke, and one thing, Roanoke is a very beautiful place because we're surrounded by the mountains, the Appalachian Mountains, but we also have a river that runs through our city. So these are vortexes, these are energy portals. So I
Mm-hmm.
have a great connection with the river and the river spirits. So I was basically doing a healing ritual for 13 days for the master healers, Credo Mutwa, Dr. Africa, and Dr. Sabi. And as
Mm.
I was doing these rituals, Spirit was like, you need to learn about shamanism. But when you learn about shamanism, it has to be from a melanated person.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, dang, I need to learn. Okay. And then I started to, you know what I'm saying? Look, I couldn't find it. Then next thing you know, I came across somebody in Baltimore who was a Sangoma. And a Sangoma is basically a South African shaman. So
Mm-hmm.
I got a divination from my Bible, from my teacher, and it was said that I had a calling to become a Sangoma. So I went through initiation for 3 years, disconnected from social media. And this is from, again, from like 2001 up to like 2024. Yeah, I'm sorry, 2021 to 2024. I went through a 3-year initiation, and I had certain taboos, not being online like that, not eating certain things. I had basically had to live a life of a monk. You know what I'm saying?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So during that process, I learned about the importance of traditional healing, using singing, dancing, prayer, chants, drumming, because that's what a Sangoma means, the person of the drum. Using
Okay.
drumming to bring healing not only to myself, but also invoke the ancestral spirit within myself, but also to help others on that journey. So
Right.
I'm just now getting out of that space and showing the world the things that I've been learning over the years. And I'm also right now, I wanted my message to be more universal. So I started to study metaphysics. So I'm a part of a metaphysics school right now, and I just now completed my bachelor's as to become a metaphysical minister. So I'm working on my master's, and then I go to the next stage to get my doctorate, and um, and just keep on
Well,
learning. I
congratulations,
appreciate
brother.
it, brother.
Yeah, congratulations.
I
Yeah,
appreciate
that's
it.
a big deal. That's a big
Yeah,
deal. And you didn't live a beautiful life, a full life, and you still got a lot
I
to go.
appreciate it,
That's the
bro. I
thing,
appreciate it. So I mean,
man.
I like to talk about my journey, brother, not to brag, but just to show people like I just didn't wake up one day and and you know what I'm saying, and become this. Like I had to go through a process to get to where I'm at right now. You know what I'm saying?
No, brother, the journey is
Yeah, bro.
everything. That's why that's literally in the intro of my theme song of the Game of Life. I start off, life's a journey. We're God in disguise.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
intentional.
Yes.
I already know, and we're all on our different
Yeah.
journeys, different pathways, and that's for me part of the most exciting part about this is capturing the journey that each one of us had to take to
Mm-hmm.
get where we're
Mm-hmm.
going. Like you said, you were meant to be a yogi,
Mm-hmm.
right? You were meant to do that, but you had to go through a
Yes.
journey to get there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We don't like to acknowledge, but sometimes some of our loved ones passing away, that may have been written in the stars. That was
Yeah.
part of it. And you had a fork in
Yep.
the road
Mm-hmm.
that you had to make a decision.
Yeah.
It was a powerful moment, a pivotal
Yep.
moment, right? Um, I've even heard some people talk about how as much as we don't want to hear it, you know, that soul, your mother in this example, may have came down here knowing
Yeah.
that that would
Mm-hmm.
be a part of the
Yeah.
process and it would spark your
Yes.
growth, right?
Definitely.
So
Definitely.
she's entrained you all these years to be ready for that moment.
Yes. I believe that too, brother. I believe that. I truly do.
And that right there is powerful, right? That right there means
Mm-hmm.
everything. So I appreciate you for sharing because these kind of conversations about the journey gets very intimate, very
Yeah.
personal. Some good, some
Mm-hmm.
sad, some exciting, some boring, all of that.
Yeah.
Everything's shaped up in
Yeah.
it, right? Um, I I didn't even. I'm gonna be honest with you because you probably remember when I first got introduced to you and your energy, it was actually on TikTok. I think it was on brother. It was God Self
Yeah.
717 on
Yeah.
TikTok, and I love
Me
like I
too.
just love the energy that he work with, walk with, all of that. But for whatever reason, I felt an energetic pull to what you were communicating. And I felt like, okay, there's some resonance there, and it actually makes sense for us to co-create, right? To
Yeah.
have this podcast, to have this
Mm-hmm.
conversation. I'm getting much more in tune with. I'm very logical. I
Mm-hmm.
come from the finance side of things, and so that was my
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah.
And coming back to self, going down the rabbit hole of what is money and all of
Yeah.
this and that. And I grew up in the Christian church,
Mm-hmm.
and why do these conspiracies continue to play out and happen? But they're not just conspiracy. They're right, right?
Mm-hmm.
It continues to happen. And so there was a whole pathway that I went down that was very unique to yours, but we still all made it back to
Yes.
source, right?
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
that's the big thing.
Hey, so
Uh,
check this out, brother. One of the first lessons that I learned that still that's a lot of lessons that I learned when studying with the Dogons. But one of the first lessons I learned was this is one of the first classes. If you want to know somebody, look behind them. Meaning, if you want to know somebody, that you gotta know their history. When you come to my kung fu school, when you come from our martial arts school, you're gonna see a lineage of the teachers that we have that's in our lineage, because we want to show
mhm.
you the authentic kung fu that's coming in this particular school. So that's
Right.
something that anytime I learn from somebody or I'm listening to somebody, especially when it comes to spirituality, one of the first questions that comes to my mind is who is your teacher and who is their teachers and who is their teachers. You know what I'm saying? Because understanding the origins of somebody and the history of somebody is important. That's one of the reasons why I always talk about my journey and showing respect to my teachers, because I want to give the people that's listening insight of my origins, of my history, so they can see, you know what I'm saying, so they can see the product.
Yeah, right. The product. That's a
Yeah.
great way to put it. And it's the product, but from the work,
Yes.
right? From the actual work that you've done.
Yes.
I would argue you've done a lot more work than many people that are on the journey. I was actually talking to somebody yesterday, and she was confused as to what was going on and how the world's working. And I said, the best thing that you can hear at this time is learn thyself, learn knowledge of self.
Yes.
But when we say that, not everybody want to hear
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
right? So of course, she telling me I didn't tell her nothing, and I'm like, I just told you
Yes.
everything. You just don't want to apply it.
Yes.
Like, you just don't want to do the work because it's real
Yes.
work, right? Because we've been programmed. So if we've been programmed, you have to unprogram, unlearn, and then relearn, which requires work. You had to work to be programmed, and now you got to work to not only you got to do double the work, arguably unprogram and then reprogram with the correct information,
Definitely.
right? Is the way I would describe it. And so it's just interesting as you break this down, you are a walking epitome of the work, in fact. I I would argue that at this point you are further along your journey than I am, but simply from lived experience of the work. I've already connected back to source, but I know I'm still doing
Yeah,
more
I feel
work,
you.
and there's some life things, even making it to Egypt, that you've already
Yeah.
accomplished, and that's great.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's dope. That's exactly why I want to have these kind of conversations. Um,
I think also too, brother. The one thing about social media, it has actually sped up the awakening process for a lot of
I
people.
think so too.
For a
I think
lot of
so too.
people,
But
bro.
why do you say that? Because I know why I say
I
that.
would say because again, we're what they call the information age, and you have access to all different types of informations. And a lot of people nowadays are like, for example, like the brother Billy Carson, he's giving out a lot of quote unquote ancient secrets, which, to be honest with you, is a gift and a curse.
Right.
Because there's a reason why our ancestors had mystery schools and um mystery schools and initiations, because they had to make sure once you get this information, you got to make sure your heart is pure, because you can get this information and it can drive you crazy. And I have certain clients that come to me and people I've seen online that they've got deep into the information, and now psychologically they, you know what I'm saying, they lose it.
Now, time
Go ahead.
out. We got to pause. I got to pause you right
Go
there,
ahead.
and this is with extreme intention. Number one, I love that you just brought that up because I wanted to talk to you about it at some point during the show about the difference and how you feel about the difference between gatekeeping information, which is what we're learning in this age of Aquarius, that a lot of information has been gate kept and it's been to hold you down. But then there's a balancing act
Yes.
because there's information that's been gate kept that is because you need to be spiritually aware enough to even receive it and
Yes.
operate properly, right? So it goes, it's like yin and yang effect, right?
Mhm.
That balance. It's not just one way,
Mhm.
right? It's not just we just been holding everything from you and that's just it. And so it's interesting as I've been on the journey, I'm learning, okay, especially because some people may think, well, if God's been here, why is God allowing all these travesties and these things to play out? But it's like there's a balancing act
Yeah.
because you're not ready,
Mhm.
right? If you haven't done the work, if you haven't really been willing to ground yourself. There was in episode 2, I interviewed the soul that remembers her past lifetime as the first dragon,
Mhm.
and she talked about one of the most powerful things that some of my family on here may have resonated with. It wasn't so much up top on the higher end of chakras. You need to make sure that you are grounded.
Yes. Yes.
It's cool to have all of
Yes.
this information up here, but if you're not
Yes.
grounded in who you are
Mhm.
and within yourself,
Yes.
you'll lose it.
Yes.
And that's where you were going with that, and I can time you back in. I just wanted to bring us back full circle to the family and everybody because that's a powerful power. It seems simple,
Yes.
but it needs the real thought,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because you got to have it all. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
But yeah, I mean, that's just something that I've noticed over the last few years, that we have a lot of people exposed to a lot of advanced, occult, esoteric information that their heart is not ready for, and they get into it, and they go on the loose, they go off in the deep end, or their life becomes more chaotic. And this is why we're seeing a rise of people, so-called spiritual people, going back to Christianity.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
they're getting into this high level information without properly being taught, trained on how to use the certain tools that you, through meditation, through yoga, through learning about the chakras. These are tools that you have to be trained on to learn how to tap into and to use it to benefit your life.
Absolutely. I would even add one more thing, like myself, but the family hasn't heard this before, I don't think. But I have partaken in plant medicine before.
Okay.
I don't do it all the time, but I have done it. Now, I think it's interesting because my perspective on it is plant medicine can absolutely spark you back into the universal consciousness.
Yes.
However, if you haven't done the work, if you haven't learned how to really protect yourself, how to ground yourself, how to do certain important things, that you can lose yourself. You can lose your entire fabric of what reality is, right? In this lifetime, right? You just be out there and you just stay out there.
Yes.
And I think that's important because you mentioned earlier, you need someone that is melanated to teach you certain principles, certain cultural things. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I would imagine a big part of why you would say that is because there are base principles that you need to be taught before you just start doing stuff. You can't just start doing stuff and think that there's not going to be repercussions or ramifications that are unintended because you didn't know, right? But is that a fair statement for why you said that?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, and I'm not open. I mean, I'm open to learning from everybody. For example, going through this metaphysical training online, like the founder of it is a white man, white brother. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Paul Masters. You know what I'm saying? And I respect him because he's speaking to my soul. So depending on the situation, it's certain things that I want to learn from melanated people. You know, but at the same time that I'm open to learn from everybody. But going on this path to becoming a Sangoma, like it was in my spirit to wanting to learn it from a melanated person. You know what I'm saying? So But it's like I said, brother, we in a time where it's a beautiful time, but it's definitely a time for us to be cautious as well. Not to be fearful, but just to be cautious about the information.
Yeah. What comes to mind when you say that is, I had, for me, very logic based, but when it comes to energy, you have to learn how to feel. And especially for men, we have to learn how to feel. That was, in fact, episode 1. It was the first thing that I started with, and it was intentional. I wanted people to know when you start having any of these kind of conversations, we're talking about consciousness. A lot of it has to do with feeling. Now, when you bring your body back online, you gotta feel. You gotta identify where that feeling's coming from, why it's there. You gotta be in tune with your body. You're the observer, as you put it, right? So, what are you observing? A lot of people. There was on TikTok. There was one day, I forget what the man's name was, but he said that he was into meditation for a while, but he never felt anything, so he just gave up. But it's like, okay, so but that's you're actually gaining information from that. You're not feeling. That means you're too dense. A teacher, right? A meditation teacher, a yogi, somebody like that would have taught you
exactly
why you're not feeling. But instead of doing that extra work and really staying with it, my best guess is the way the brother was talking is that he gave up on it and just kept going to do anything else that was really ultimately a distraction from what he needed to be doing, right? And I feel like that's important. Feeling. I wanted to talk to you about, you had mentioned spiritually being sick spiritually, spiritual sickness. And you had talked about the depth and the reason for being spiritually sick. And I just wanted to know if you can break that down for my family on the show.
So when I was speaking about spiritually being sick, and it goes kind of back to what we're talking about, dealing with people and information. I'm seeing, again, I do work online, but the majority of the work I do is offline. Like, so I'm actually in my community, working with people, connecting with people, and I come across people who are spiritually sick. And the reason why these people become spiritually sick is because, again, the information that they are tapping into is taking them too high, it's taking them too far out there, and they don't know how to ground themselves. Most
Mm-hmm.
people say they know how to meditate, uh, but in reality, when you actually been when you study under again meditation teachers and you read meditation literature from actual yogis from Nepal and from the East, you see that there is a methodology on how to meditate. Most people just close their eyes and just let their minds just wander. You know what I'm saying? And just go here and go there. I mean, that is a technique that you can do, but you also need to know how to ground yourself. And I feel like when you don't know how to ground yourself, when you feel like you get across some type of information and all of a sudden you are superior to others, you're more enlightened than others, that you now have this information and you can put a curse on another person because now your ancestors are working with you and they're going to harm the next person if the person harms you. To me, that's all a form of spiritual sickness. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like, especially in our community, the African American or whatever you the melanated community here in America, I feel like a lot of our people are dealing with a spiritual sickness. and
Mm-hmm.
um and we could, I mean, not even some of the conscious leaders, I don't even want to say some of their names, but
I'm with you.
some of our conscious leaders who had large
Mm-hmm.
followings come out that they were doing this to this person, they was doing that to that child, you know what I'm saying? And to
Mm-hmm.
me, that's a spiritual sickness. So I think the times that we're in right now, we have to be extremely mindful, learn how to detox from social media from time to time, learn the importance of fasting, have like accountability partners, have like a community that's going to hold you accountable, because as soon as you start to
Right.
go left, you need somebody to pull you in. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that's
And
for sure.
I mean, I have times where I'm feeling low. I have times where I don't feel like posting online, or I don't feel like um or I don't feel like going live on TikTok. You know what I'm saying? I have those moments. You know what I'm saying? I think we all go through those moments, but I think once we become spiritually sick, it becomes like a way of life, and now everything becomes a conspiracy theory. Everything becomes worst case scenario, and I think we gotta be able to go beyond that and heal
Yeah,
from that.
for sure. For sure. And heal from
Yeah.
that very specifically, for sure. I'll be honest with you. I see the whole conversation around who we are as far as the physical vessel,
Mm-hmm.
right? Of copper colored people, etc. There's merit to it, but then there's also getting to a point where you're still missing the big picture, though.
Yes.
So the merit meaning, we really were here
Yes. Yes.
before
Yep. Mm-hmm.
the slave trade and
Yeah.
all this and that. That was us. That
Yes.
is correct. I've tapped into my ancestors. They showed me very clearly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you know what they also? Do you know what they also
What's
said?
that?
We were all the same.
There
So
you go.
the idea of the Olmecs versus the Mayans
Yes.
versus the
Mm-hmm.
Aztecs, I'm just gonna tell you what I saw. We were all the same, and that's what I was told,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then it's just a simple conversation of really genetics.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if we're just talking about genetics, then that's a conversation about the physical avatar,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
not the spirit,
Yes.
soul, and all these kind of things. That's the
Mm-hmm.
avatar, right? The bloodlines that now, and that's cool. We can talk about that, and there is some strong merit to really break that down and for us to really work through and recalibrate everything back on the planet the way it was supposed to be. We can do that. That doesn't change the bigger picture of who you are, though.
Yes. Yes.
Do you know what I'm
Yes. Yes.
saying? That's where I feel like we people get the messages construed.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, I can be pro returning this planet back the way it's supposed to
Yes.
be, while also knowing who I am.
Yes.
Right? I am the direct descendant of source from God. I am
Yes.
that at an energetic
Mm-hmm.
level before anything
Before
else.
anything else.
Humanity can go somewhere and can be gone for hundreds of years, and I'm still going to be here in a different form,
Yes.
right? That's the power of what I think we're both talking
Yes.
about, and where I'm at with it is like the two things can be true
Yes.
without it has to be so
Yes.
extreme.
I
You know what I'm
agree. I
saying?
agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah. I think that's deep. Now on that topic, you had made a video about and you know we're gonna talk about this, so about the Super Bowl performance, the halftime
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
performance, and you had said, "Why are people so mad?"
mm-hmm,
And it sounded like where you were going with it is people wanted a performance and they got a
mm-hmm.
message, right? But you break that down for us. What when it came to that, how did you? Why did you feel that was important for you to talk about?
Um, First of all, so I work in the school system, and I have the opportunity to work with high school students. And any moment, I try to find experiences that they can relate to. So
Yeah, that's
so
real.
one of the things that was relatable, and it was a topic or a topic of conversation, was the Kendrick Lamar halftime show. So
Mm-hmm.
during class, we took the time to watch it and to talk about it. And one of the things I came out and just again observing social media, I seen that you had people that was for it and you had people that was against it.
Exactly. That's
And
what I
what I
saw.
learned was that, and I try to speak for our people. I try to speak for our people because these are the people that I'm usually I'm for all people, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm speaking about for us copper colored people, melanated people.
Mm-hmm.
I feel
Mm-hmm.
that we just want to be entertained and we just want to complain. When that Kendrick Lamar basically, and I'm not a keeping also keep in mind I'm not a Kendrick Lamar fan either. I was just open to his message and what he was trying to show us. You know what I'm saying? And with
Mm-hmm.
that being said, he's basically exposing and shining light on the corruption of America. He's had an opportunity during one of the biggest events of the year to shed to shine light on the corruption here in America. And a lot of our people were upset is because in reality they didn't want to think. They didn't want to take the time to think deeper and logical on a more logical um in a more logical way because they just wanted to be entertained. And I think that's one of the reasons why we see a lot of poverty in our community, a lot of trauma in our community, because at the end of the day, we don't want to deal with the root. We just want to ignore it, and again, we just want to complain and be entertained. And what Kendrick was showing us, brother, is that this is bigger than the Super Bowl. This is he said at the beginning. This is bigger than rap beef. When I heard it, to be honest with you, bro, every time he talks about the Drake situation, I'm thinking about what's happening in our communities. That like that stuff is really happening. Grown
Right.
men messing with, you know what I'm saying? That is
Yep.
actually
Yep.
happening. I can remember in high school seeing grown men pulling up in nice cars, you know what I'm saying, picking up high school girls.
Right.
I mean, I haven't, I don't, I, bro, I probably only met, I think the 90% of the women that I do consultation work for have been, you know what I'm saying, great
Yeah.
by a
Yep.
family
Yep.
member or somebody as a child though, you know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
when he talks about that, in my mind, like he's exposing the industry for what's truly going on. And keep in mind when this was happening, this was happening during the whole when this first came out. This whole beef came out. This is happening during the Diddy situation. So, bro, I feel like with that performance, that he's bringing a light to a lot of things that we're trying to just just trying to shove up under the rug.
Can I add on to that the not only is it exposing, you know, Hollywood and all this and that, but it actually exposes um what I would call a breakdown or a failure of culture, right?
Yes.
There's really no acceptability for that besides the fact that we as in general, forget Hollywood, for we have to be that change. We got to be operating in the right perspective. And you know, for you brought up, you spent time with the Dogon and you spent time with how advanced intellectually and culturally the children were.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue there's zero chance that any sort of sexual escapades and things like that are happening in those
Yeah,
community over
yeah,
there with the
yeah,
Dogon
yeah,
tribe, because the culture is
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
strong. You are teaching the kids so early,
Hmm.
even about what sexual
Yeah, there
energy
you go.
is.
There you go, bro.
What is
There
sexual?
you
I
go.
didn't learn what sexual energy. You know what you talk? I got. Hey, you gonna do something?
Hmm.
There's like, I was probably like 10, 11. Hey, if you're gonna do something, just make sure you wrap it
Yeah,
up. And that was the
yeah,
talk. That literally
yeah.
was the talk. There was no conversation. So you know when I learned about sexual energy for real was middle school health class, and you know they didn't teach you nothing about that,
Nah, nah, yeah.
right? They didn't teach you nothing. They just taught you what they had to in a
Yep.
book that was like, here's your sexual organs, and learn that and regurgitate it on this test.
Hmm. Yes.
But what does that mean
Yeah.
though? What is it like? You know what I'm saying? There's way deeper. But anyway, I just wanted to say that because it's like I feel like a big part of that is we got to all look at ourselves about why that's even
Y-
possible. Because you said 90% of the women that you work with, right? That means these ain't no people impacted by Hollywood directly
Yes.
necessarily, right? This is at home.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
So I just wanted to bring that. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
brother. I mean, like I said, man, this is something that's running rampant in our community. And
Mm-hmm.
again, we don't want to deal with it. So we just want to be entertained. But that's, to be honest with you, bro, that's where a lot of our healing has to start coming from. Us starting to go back and uncover those wounds. There's a
Absolutely.
book called Decolonized Therapy. And it's basically talking about, yeah, we need to do therapy, but at the same time, that therapy need to be tailored for us as a people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because when we approach therapy from a Western model, they're just dealing with the mind or just talking. Our
Mm-hmm.
ancestors, when they were dealing with therapy, they were dealing with the whole self, the mind, body,
Right.
and spirit.
Exactly.
So when a person has a mental health issue, here in America, what we do? We shun them. Oh, they're crazy. We isolate them. But guess what? If we would tap back into our ancestral knowledge, that person is a healer. So what we're going to do, we're going to
Mm-hmm.
take that person through initiation. We're going to teach them about the reason why they're hearing those voices or why they're seeing those images. We're going to teach them about fasting. We're going to teach them about detoxing. We're going to teach them how to play a drum. We're going to teach them how to dance. We're going to teach them how to sing. So when they do have those visions and when they do have and they're seeing those things, that they can use that information to help us move
Mm-hmm.
forward. Because
Yep.
they're pulling on information from somewhere, but they just don't know how to access it in a productive way.
Yeah.
And this is the science that our ancestors were tapping into, and this is why I started a business called Ancestral Perspective LLC, teaching about the importance of returning back to our ancestors, our ancestral ways, the way we perceive the world, the way we perceive time, the way that we perceive healing, the way that we perceive uh, inner work. We have to get back to our wisdom. We have to get back to our roots. And that's how we're going to,
Mm-hmm.
people ask me, I do a lot of community work within my city. I work with youth, and they're spending millions of dollars, not only in my city, but around the world, trying to figure out, okay, how do we combat gun violence? So why are our youth so out of control? It's basically simple.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know who they are.
Yep.
They truly believe that they came into existence to be either a basketball player,
Right.
football player, or
Right.
entertainer.
Right.
That's
That's
that's it.
and if that don't work out, then I'm just
You
here.
know what I'm
Like
saying? If
just
that don't work
nothing.
out, I'm just
No.
gonna run the streets.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the thing, what I teach, brother, is what you was talking about, the importance of knowledge itself. That's why my program has made national headlines, is because I'm getting back to the roots of who we are as a people, teaching our youth about who they are on a mental level, on a physical level. And I'm in the school system. I can't talk about spirituality. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah, I feel you.
historically, culturally, I can throw in the mindfulness to give them
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to detach from their emotions, to detach from the trauma that they're experiencing at home, and then give them affirmations and stories to give them and teach them about the importance of like viewing reality from a different lens.
You know what? I think this is a good that right there. Detachment from information, viewing reality from a different
Mm-hmm.
lens. You have brought up after the Kendrick performance, I think, how you actually went back. This is how I know you're a critical thinker. You went back and brought up Port Antonio from J. Cole,
Yeah.
and a lot of people remember that song where the culture he's soft because he's not trying to sit here and battle rap and go back and forth about something about nothing basically with these two people and be in the middle of the headlines and this, that, and the third, the big show,
Mm-hmm.
right? And Cole said something very specific in there. He said, I wouldn't have lost the battle. I would have lost the bro. He understood to detach. What did he do?
Yes.
What did he actually? His actual work is he detached from that
That's what I'm
whole
saying. Yes.
game.
Yes.
You don't. That's
Yes.
powerful. You don't have to. How was that soft? No, it was
Yes.
powerful. That is telling you I don't run. I'm not utilizing my divine energy and essence to play these games that y'all want to play. Y'all can
Exactly.
do it though. Have fun. You do it. I'll sit in the sidelines and watch y'all play out. Y'all go back and forth and do what you gonna do. And I'm still living my life on
Yes.
purpose every day.
Yes. And I don't think a lot of people understand that J. Cole is actually very, very spiritual. I actually know there's a brother that was the organization, that Dogon organization that I was a part of. There's a brother who's from the same hometown as J. Cole, that knows J. Cole. And this brother now lives in Chicago, but they interact. You know what I'm saying? And J. Cole knows about this particular organization. So that's why I know J. Cole is extreme. He may not be in it, but I know he's exposed to certain concepts and ideas. So when I heard the fact that he wanted to detach from that situation, that right there let me know he's on a whole different spiritual vibration. Because in this society, like us as a people, we want to debate and fight amongst each other. You know what I'm saying? Because we want to be entertained.
Right.
But he was like, you know what? I'm not going to entertain that because I ain't trying to lose my brother. So y'all can have that. So and I respect that.
Yeah, I respect it heavily, heavily. You know what? I don't know if I've ever shared this. Maybe with one other person. When I go through different meditation, you learn things, you get taught things, you hear
Mm-hmm.
things. I was told that Earth, when I was on my like really on my journey trying to figure out who I am, I learned that Earth is a mystery school.
Yes. There you go.
And I didn't know what that meant at the time, as far as like I know what a school is, right? But you add mystery in front of it, it's like, what the hell is that? Like, what is a mystery school? I've never heard anybody even talk about school in a mysterious way. It
Mm,
shouldn't be that mysterious.
wow.
However, I think it is safe to say at this point in my journey, I've figured out, when we talk about having past lives and some souls are more ancient or old than other souls, some people don't even have a soul. The purpose of having a soul is in growing. The way you grow is to learn and
Mm-hmm.
experience. Then you can look at Earth as a school now, because you understand that the experiences really that you're having is what is teaching you
Mm-hmm.
over the course of your many
Yes.
lifetimes, right? And so I bring that up because go ahead.
No, no. I'm actually live on TikTok right now too. So I was just saying, I was
Oh,
saying
okay,
peace to
okay,
my
okay.
people.
That's what's up. Yeah, no. So, with Earth being a school, that talks to the point where why some people have these younger souls and they don't understand things or they make certain mistakes. That tells you a couple things. One, we have to be patient with these
Yeah.
people, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't just dismiss everybody that you come into
Yes.
contact with because you're on a different frequency than they
Mm-hmm.
are. The other side of that, though, is you do detach, meaning you don't get into arguments with these people about their perspective, because their perspective is what they need to have.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they lose or don't have a great outcome, that's how they're gonna learn.
Mm-hmm.
But learn in the heart, learn in the mind, and they're gonna be evolving over their
Mm-hmm.
lifetimes. Many of us in this lifetime, I would argue, are old or ancient
Yes.
souls. So we feel like, hey, you doing X, Y, and Z, we got to argue. But once you realize, come back to self, you're going to be like, okay, I didn't been here, done this before. This school aspect ain't for
Yeah.
me. It's actually for you
Mm-hmm.
all. I'm over here to do X, Y, and Z. Like you said, you're here to be a yoga.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I already know I'm here to bridge consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
the divine consciousness, with the logical, intelligent consciousness of humanity. That's what I'm here to do.
Mm-hmm.
I already know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna be writing books and everything. But the point is, this is a school,
Mm-hmm.
but we're all coming into this school with different perspectives. And I just find that so fascinating, especially when we talk about that halftime performance, um, because you got to see so many different lenses on the same
Yeah.
thing. I saw it very clearly,
Mm-hmm.
but I saw that other people didn't see it as
Yeah.
clearly,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
thought that was interesting. How do you feel about the mystery school of Earth?
Oh man, as soon as you said that, it made me think about Per Ankh. Per Ankh is what they call like some of humanity's oldest mystery schools. And again, we go back to ancient Kemet. That's what Per Ankh means. It means Per means house, Ankh means life. So in these
Mm-hmm.
schools, I actually got a book on it, a book called Per Ankh. But in Per Ankh, they were basically learning literally everything under the sun. They were learning meditation. They were learning yoga. They were learning mathematics. They were learning astrology, astronomy, everything that you can, psychology, everything that you think about. They were learning that. And even in the
Mm-hmm.
school that I was, organization I was a part of, that I was part of their mystery school, um, it was called Umtam. And Umtam is, check this out, the study of life and death, and
Hmm.
also the study of the energy of the earth. So they taught about Bayu Ali and Yenu. So Bayu Ali is basically the same concept as Chi and Prana. But Bayu Ali
Mm.
is that same concept from an African perspective. So everything that we can see is has that Bayu Ali in it. You know what I'm saying? So when we're practicing meditation and when we're practicing yoga and we're practicing our breathing exercises and we're giving offering to our ancestors and we're aligning ourselves with natural time, that increases our Bayu Ali. And the more
Mm.
you increase your Bayu Ali or the energy of the earth, the more they say basically the earth will use you more and more as a vessel to bring more
Mm-hmm.
harmony to the planet. You know what I'm saying? So this is why being in nature is so important, because now um you're getting firsthand knowledge from the Bayou Ali or from Earth. You know what I'm saying? This is why if you study some certain African diviners, they're actually divine on the earth using the ground. I don't know if you ever seen
Mm-hmm.
that. Have you? Have you ever seen that before?
Nah, I haven't seen it. I haven't
So
seen it.
they know how to, I don't know how they do it, but they basically can write certain lines. I don't know. They look like they're writing lines in the earth, but they know how to read. Like, because when they're writing these lines, the earth is actually speaking to them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, um, so again, like you're saying, yes, the earth is a mystery school. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, our ancestors actually had organizations where they can add actual give structure and instruction on how to
Yeah.
properly use this information. Because what I was taught, bro, was spirituality is technical. You know what I'm saying? So meaning like there are certain techniques that you like. For example, you go online. Yeah, you can go online and learn kung fu or MMA, but you go against somebody who actually went to school, who's training with real people.
You gonna
And
learn real
you're gonna
quick.
learn
There's levels to
there's a
this.
difference, and it's the same way with
Mm-hmm.
and this is, and to be honest with you, bro, it's the same way with spirituality too, bro. Like when you have people that go through certain trainings to help them specialize in certain things. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't make them people more superior than the next, but that's just the way it is. You know what I'm saying? Everything works like that. Even with you, like with being a financial advisor, you like a financial advisor, right? Like you
Yep. Yep.
you just didn't wake up one day and become a financial. You had to be trained, didn't you?
Right. Right.
It's the same
Correct.
way. It's the same way with spirituality, bro. It's the same way. So
Yeah.
I agree, brother. Like, but I also learned though, bro, is the earth and nature is definitely one of our master teachers for sure.
D- can you tell? We don't have to say too long on this, but I definitely want to talk about your perspective on Egypt and Kemet being across the planet,
Okay, yeah, that's a good.
because I think that's very important for people to try to wrap their
Yeah,
mind around Because even when you just talked about somebody being able to draw lines in the earth and the earth will speak
Yeah.
back to it and they're reading and doing these kind of things, you know, an advanced spiritual society and mindset and culture isn't going to be in just one place on the earth. It's just not, right. The level of advancement and intuitiveness I have in connection with the earth, I can go to Thailand and do that. I can go to Africa and do that. You don't can't just confine me to one small location, because all of this resonates with me and I resonate with it. But go ahead, brother. I just want to hear your
This is a
perspective.
great topic right here, brother. So I'm gonna share a story with you. One of the stories I learned in my initiation, and it's dealing with perception and being mindful of where your perception of the world is coming from. Because your
Right,
perception of
right.
the world, you may be thinking is coming from you. In reality, it's not. So there's a story that talks about a prophet and a priest. So there was a prophet and a priest. The priest goes to the prophet and was like, "Great prophet, I hear you teach about how chaotic the world is, but when I look around, I don't see it. I just see the beauty of the world. I see all the goodness in the world." And the prophet was like, "Okay, I respect your perspective, but when you go home tonight, make sure you leave your door open." So the priest goes home. He leaves his door open. The prophet sends one of his servants to rub garlic on the priest's mustache. So the priest gets up, goes to the prophet's temple, and the priest was like, "Okay, I'm here. What were you trying to teach me?" So the prophet pulls out a flower and he was like, "Okay, what does this flower smell like?" He says, "It smells like garlic." Then he says, "What does my robe smell like?" He was like, "It smells like garlic." Then he says, "What does my temple smell like?" It smells like garlic. And the prophet was like, "The reason why it smells like garlic is because last night while you were sleeping, I had somebody rub garlic on your mustache." So that right there is. So then we had to ask ourselves this question, good brother. Our understanding of Kemet in Egypt, where is it coming from? Who
Mm,
taught us that Egypt or Kemet is just a one geographical location on a map?
right,
You know what I'm saying?
right. That was their
That was
perspective.
again exactly. But when you're dealing with people and lineages and bloodlines that are
Right.
still connected to that culture,
Mm-hmm.
that we know that they came down through the Nile and migrated to different parts of West Africa. And how do we know this? Because when we look at their rituals, when we look at their ceremonies, the language, we can see a connection to ancient Kemet.
Mm-hmm.
So what I learned was that Kemet is not a geographical location on the map. Kemet is a culture. This is why we see also Unks in South Africa. We see Unks in the culture in West Africa. We see it in Northern Africa. And this is another reason why we see it in America as well. Because we're
Mm-hmm.
thinking that Egypt or Kemet is a place on the map. And you got people
Mm-hmm.
saying, "Oh yeah, um, Egypt or Kemet is actually America." Okay, that may be true. But you gotta understand that it's not, it's actual a way of living. So if you're
Right.
saying that, now you have to demonstrate the Kemetic lifestyle. So now you got to
Right.
demonstrate how you're connecting to the Netaru, how are you
Right.
connecting to the gods, how are you connecting to the ancestors,
Mm-hmm.
what calendar are you living by, what morals are you living by that's going to connect you
Yep.
back to this particular culture.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And with that, I feel like it's a perfect transition. You said that there's a difference between the pyramids and the mounds,
Mm-hmm.
right? So and I feel like that's right along with this topic. So why don't you help my family understand that if you don't mind?
So, from my understanding, the mounds were basically, I wouldn't say burial sites, but the pyramids were a lot more. They put a lot more time and energy into the pyramids versus a mound. When you go into these pyramids, especially when you go to Egypt, you're going to see like I've never been to a mound before, but I've seen them online. You can definitely see that the ancestors put a lot more time and energy into a pyramid because of the structure, the detail, the mathematics behind it,
Divine mathematics.
divine
Yep.
the divine mathematics behind it,
That's what came. That's literally just what came
the
when. Yeah.
writings you see on the pyramids. You're actually going inside these pyramids and you feel the shift. Like I've never been, I've never been to a mound. My goal is to go to a mound. I know
I got something for you on
we have
that.
some around here in Virginia, I think. So I'll definitely like to go. But I know how I knew about the mounds. A good brother was one of my good brothers. One of my mentors, Dr. Mkhotep, who wrote a book called The First Americans Were African. He wanted some of his field research that he was doing. He was going around studying the different mounds around the United States, so around Ohio, Texas.
Yeah, all up and down the Mississippi for sure.
Definitely. So that's how I knew about the mounds. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know a lot about them. You know what I'm saying? I don't know a lot about the mounds, but I do know that there's a difference between the mounds and the pyramid. Not saying one is better than the other. That's not what I'm saying at all. But there is a difference between a mound and a pyramid, because some people say certain mounds are pyramids, and I get it. But when you actually been to a pyramid, you'll see it's a clear distinction between a mound and a pyramid.
Well, I think the difference is the purpose of the usage is what's different. I'll give you a quick breakdown. So I'm here in St. Louis, Missouri. There is a mound called Cahokia Mounds it's technically Illinois, but it's really right across the river. Now I went there and with a small group of people, one of those being my divine counterpart, and I'm sure you're coming into the knowledge that we all have different gifts spiritually that we've been given in this lifetime, etc. So, in our experience, given the ancestral offerings and showing love and gratitude, all these kind of things, one of the things that happened was my divine counterpart. Her gift is she's a divine channel, but she also sees imagery through her third eye, right? And so one of the things that happened was she was seeing as if, remember, time's an illusion, right? We kind of talk about a little bit about that. So she was seeing, while we're there in 2024, she was seeing a reality where our ancient indigenous ancestors were there living. Okay. So she's seeing them and they're seeing us because they're technologically advanced, right? So they know we're there. She then gets to see the mounds in a almost like a holographic vision. So like if you've ever seen Avatar and they showed the tree of life, whatever they're connected with, and they show it in like a holograph and like a digital screen where you're able to move things around and touch things like a digital screen. That's what was inside the mounds. There was technology inside the mounds. They were inside the mounds. It was like hollowed out where people were living. So like entire living structures were inside the mounds.
Okay.
And so what's interesting about that is we just bring it back to the purpose, right? We experienced there was a purpose for those mounds that was deeper than just, we got some mounds and we do offerings here and we connect with nature. It was a whole civilization and established advanced technology inside the mounds too.
Okay, I can see that.
Which is cool, but that's still different than the breakdown for the pyramids, right? Because there's a divine energy in alignment with the cosmos, right? For the pyramids. And so both are important, but they were different in their own respective rights. So I just thought that was fascinating when you brought that up, and I wanted to kind of we're sharing. It's that energy exchange of what's really real, and we got to have these conversations for us to piece it all together, because that's what it's going to take, right? As the downloads and images come all the way through. I hope the TikTok live love.
Oh yeah, they are. They definitely tap the screen, y'all. Tap the screen. Appreciate it, y'all. So what's the name of your podcast again?
Yeah, it's called Game of Life. It's called Game of Life.
Game of Life podcast, y'all. Great interview. Yeah. Great interview.
Yeah, no doubt. And then if you want to tell them Reawaken Media. That's what's up. Yeah, Reawaken Media.
So what is it? Reawaken Media.
Yeah, that's just what my media company that I literally just created is called. So I just updated it. So if you type in Reawaken Media or Game of Life, you're gonna see it.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yep. And my name is Dexter Walker. If that helps
Somebody said they just came
anybody,
across it the other day. She was like, "Oh no way!
that's what's
I
up.
actually just came across it the other day."
Yeah, so it's gonna be way more uploads and content. I'm in the process of selling my house and moving, but just know it's a lot more episodes coming out. We got it. This knowledge of self is here,
Yeah,
family. It
yes.
is. We not
This
going
is hey
nowhere.
y'all,
We
hey family, hey TikTok family. This is a great interview. The brother's doing an amazing job. Very professional. Very professional. This is probably one of the best interviews I've ever had right here. You ever heard of King Simon before?
no, or yes, I have, but I haven't had the chance to talk to him. I actually wanted to holler at him at the 90
I
for
was
God Fest, but
he
it was
interviewed me before. He came on my show
okay.
before, and I went on his show before as well. King Simon.
Okay,
Yep.
that's what's up. Yeah, I like King
Yeah.
Simon a lot. It just he was helping with making sure that the fest went smooth.
Yeah.
So it was like one of those things. I'm not gonna get in your way when you trying to actually work. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
But yeah, it was a couple good brothers that I was trying to holler at. Yeah.
Also, bro.
But I do.
Also, I want this is another thing I wanted to share with you. I think it's important to share too about my journey. So back in I think it was back in 2022. Yeah, back in 2022, I started studying Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, and
Yeah.
and like July the 3rd, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna practice his meditations every single day. So I've been practicing his meditation every single day since 2022, July
Okay.
3rd of 2022. And so I had the opportunity to go to one of his events. I don't know if you know too much about Dr. Joe Dispenza.
I definitely know about him. I've never like sat down and really listened. You know, I've
Hey,
seen
brother,
things here and
brother,
there.
if we're talking about the evolution of meditation, please study his work.
Okay.
This is coming from
Okay.
the white mirror, brother. You know what I'm saying? The white galactic. This is
Yeah.
coming from the
Yeah.
white galactic mirror. Please study his
Okay.
work, brother. So, for
Okay.
example, I had the opportunity to go to 2 of his events. I'm going to a third one in January, February, March, April. In May, I'll go to the third one. So keep it in mind, brother. His tickets are $5,000, and let me tell you, people from all around the world are coming to these events. And the people who are coming to these events are doctors, scientists, teachers, entrepreneurs, everybody from all different backgrounds, brother, are going to the. And the
Okay.
reason, as a matter of fact, I was sitting beside a doctor from India. I was like, brother, why are you here? He's because of the science that supports what this brother's doing. When he's showing how meditation is literally, you can literally use your mind to heal your body. He's
Yeah.
showing the science on how it's happening. He took blood work from people. He took blood work, teardrop samples, I think pee samples or urine samples, hair. I think maybe some hair samples as well. And for 7 days, brother, he studied these people while we're doing these advanced meditations. And after the 7 days, he had 2 scientists from the University of San Diego come to share the data. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what they said was that in 7 days, we created medicine within our bodies that it would take 4 to 5 to 6 months to happen if a person was actually taking medication. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's deep.
Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches us about the importance of elevated emotions, learning how to elevate your emotions, how to open up your heart, how to become nothing and become everything, and also how to balance the energy centers. What he calls them the energy centers, but they're the chakras. And once
Right.
you learn how to put your attention on these energy centers, now your body will start to create medicine. It will
Mm-hmm.
start to create certain chemicals in the body that will literally start to heal the body. And we're talking about people, not 1 or 2 people, but thousands of people healing from advanced chronic illness. You can go on his you can go on his page on YouTube and just look at the hundreds of testimonials of people healing themselves from chronic illness, brother. And
That's
again, it's the
dope.
science that's supporting it. He calls it the 4-minute mile theory, where at one time nobody could beat the 4-minute mile, but it only took that one person. And guess what happened after that one person did it?
Then a whole bunch of people
There you
did it.
go. Once you see one person healing for suffering from a chronic illness, guess what? The next person can do it. Then the next person can do it. So this is why I promote Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, brother, because like I said, I'm an advanced student of his. I'm a part of the Inner Science Research Foundation, where we're basically collecting data, showing how meditation is healing people. And over time, it's going to get to a point where when you go to a doctor, brother, guess what they're going to do? They're going to be prescribing meditation.
Yeah. Hey, that's why this conversation is so important, because it's like it's got to be. We got to make that happen.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, and stand on that. You know what it reminds me of actually is in meditation one day I saw the imagery of humanity going in cycles. And then I broke out, like I punched a hole in the wall and I just went, hey y'all, let's go this way. And then humanity saw, like you just said, all it took was one person, and then you just go. And that's what I saw as far as my purpose for this lifetime. So it's interesting because that's the same idea, right? We all it takes is that one person, and then we going, right? As long as we all can stay connected, we can get up out of this cycle.
Hey, brother, I want to do your GPS for you too, brother. I want to do your GPS for you. Tell you about your galactic purpose signature offline though, when you get a chance.
Okay.
Because your purpose of what you said you like to bridge things together. That's actually connected to one of the solar seals, which is what they call the White World Bridger, and that's what the White World Bridger does. It connects this. It brings one world to the next world, so it's like a bridge. So you have that. So you're actually expressing that energy of the White World Bridger.
So we finna actually talk about is this connected to the Mayan calendar?
Yes, it's connected to the Mayan calendar.
So this is how you know this divine, because I'm finna. This was actually, I put this down as something to talk about. So you had a video about the yellow cosmic star. Okay, now you know what that took me to was when I was during my awakening process. My divine counterpart I mentioned earlier, she's into astrology, not so much the Mayan calendar placements, but because she was so into astrology, I then had to learn that, because I'm learning astrology is basically divine mathematics. I'm learning, I had to learn, like get out of my logical mind and learn, this really all connected. So I'm learning mine. So mine is the blue eagle. That's who I am.
Oh, so you found out your blue, you found out your solar seal. Eagle. Okay.
So I'm the blue eagle, right?
Is connected to the mind. It's connected to creation and vision. That's what the blue eagle is connected to.
Yep. So it was so interesting, right? And so then that's how you know this is really our work. I'm not even playing it. This is my divine counterpart. We had like already channeled this and did I turned every stone. One of the stones that I had to turn was the Mayan calendar placements. Tell me why it told me my complement is, I think it was called the yellow solar seed or something. And it turned out that's exactly who she
is.
The
yellow seed. Yeah.
It was just crazy how like all of the connections were happening, and it was like I couldn't deny it even if I wanted to. You know what I'm saying? Like, even because I got a real particular mind that be like, no, I'm gonna debunk that. And it's like, nah, this is all just pure facts. It's just what it is. But so yeah, tell me, that yellow cosmic star, is that who you are?
No, I'm the yellow. I'm sorry, I'm the white mirror, the white galactic mirror. So
the white galactic mirror.
My mantra is, I harmonize in order to reflect modeling order. I seal the matrix of endlessness with the galactic tone of integrity, guided by the power of spirit. So once you learn your GPS, you get a particular spell or mantra, and you want to make sure every day you're repeating that. You actually want to do it 3 times. So you want to make sure and that basically reminds you about who you are and why you came here on this planet.
Hey, brother, no doubt. We're going to have to take that offline. I'm definitely trying to, because I learned a lot, but it's nothing like learning from somebody that's really already attacked it and got that expertise, like we was talking about earlier.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
and
saying?
Also, brother, if you ever want to get it like an ancestral reading, brother, if you ever, I don't know if you ever got a divination, not a tarot, nothing wrong with tarot card reading, but if you ever got a divination reading, brother, if you haven't got one, you should get one. It will take your journey to the next level. You know what I'm saying? It definitely to the next level. So I'm just throwing it out there as well.
What's up. Yeah, that's what's up. So just for the family, you know, we starting to get wrapped up for a little bit. If there was, you know what? My higher self asked me to bring this up to you, and I don't want to miss it. because this been a
And
dope
the people on
conversation.
TikTok loving it too right now. They go.
That's
Hey,
we love
let's get
y'all.
up to 2,000 likes right quick, y'all. Go ahead, brother.
That's what's up, man. I love y'all too. We love this is what we do. This is why we're here for this whole movement.
Yeah.
This whole movement. So my higher self brought this up, and I wanted to get your take on it. So it came in kind of fragments, but it was weather manipulation. So what is happening that we should be aware of? What factors to consider that have been pushing these changes on the physical planet? I.e., have we been changing, meaning us as a people? Are we influencing some of the change of the weather manipulation? What are your thoughts on anything with that topic?
Just weather manipulation.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. That's a great question, brother, and a great insight. I'm gonna go back to my quote, brother. The only way out is in, and I go back to that because, and this also makes me think about the not brother polite, but brother panic talks
Mm-hmm.
about like the importance. As long as you're doing the internal work, things are going to be changing. We're going to be exposed to a lot of, brother. We're going through some. We're going in order to get to the light. We got to go through the darkness. So we're going to be going through a lot of challenging times, through
Right.
dealing with the weather, through dealing
Mm-hmm.
with certain pandemics. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Natural disasters, man-made disasters. We're going to be going through a lot of different things. A lot of things are going to be manipulated. However, we got to make sure that we're doing the internal work. We got to make sure that we're learning how to observe our emotions and and observe our breathing. Learn to relax our body, because the more relaxed we become, the more in tune we become, the more we are in alignment with the planet, the more we're in alignment with nature, the more we're in
Right.
alignment with the cosmos, and that is actually
Mm-hmm.
our protection. To
Right.
be in that divine alignment.
Mm-hmm.
So so when I hear about the weather manipulation and stuff like that, I know they're doing a lot of those things. And I think also, as we rise in consciousness, as we rise in vibration, we're also having an interaction or having an impact on the planet. But at the same time, the planet is also going through an evolution. The planet is also going through a transformation. So that's also having an impact on us. And this goes back to the concept I talked about earlier, the Bayu Ali and the Yenu. Bayu Ali is the energy that's coming from the earth. The Yenu is the energy that's coming from other planets. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
there's a dialogue that's happening. So there's a
Right.
dialogue, and this is coming from ancient science. This is coming from our ancient ancestors' science. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
they seen it as everything is in a dialogue. Like right now, we're having an energetic dialogue. The earth is
Right.
having an energetic dialogue with us as well. So what impacts the earth is also impacting us, and what impacts us also impacts the earth. You know what I'm saying?
That's real.
However,
That's
we
deep.
have to make sure, like what I learned from being around the Dogons, or also the word Dogon means landlords. What I learned from being around them was this: that the ones who are closer to nature will have the best chance to survival. Let me repeat that. The closer you are and connected to nature, the more likely you will survive. The more, and this is why grounding is so important. This is why eating a plant-based diet is so important. This is why
Mm-hmm.
connecting with nature, breathing is so important.
Yeah.
Connecting with nature and going outside to breathe. This is why taking the time. If you're close to a body of water, take the time to sit by the river. Take the time to sit by the ocean. If you're connected to some mountains, go to the mountains and connect with the mountains, because these are energetic portals that our ancestors, and science is confirming this. Matter of fact, I got a book right here, the nature fix. Hey, brother, everything I talk about, I can back by science. I can back by other experts to confirm everything that I talk about. Whether
Yeah.
it be meditation, whether it talk about traditional healing, I can show how in the Western world, when it comes to mental health, they're now implementing ancient traditional healing modalities. For example, somatic therapy. You know what? You ever heard of
Right.
somatic therapy? That ain't
Mm-hmm.
nothing but ancient technology that they have
Right.
rebranded. You know what I'm saying? So
Exactly.
that's
Exactly.
what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? So just go back to
Yeah.
the weather manipulation, brother. I think they are doing that, but I also think that whatever they're doing, it's not gonna like at the end of the day, bro. The last shall finish first, basically.
Yeah, you know what I find fascinating about that whole conversational point is the biggest highlight to me: get back to
Get
nature.
back to
Those
nature.
closest with nature,
Yes.
you will be the most likely to survive. I have a brief story, but we ain't gonna go too deep. But this was maybe 2 3 weeks ago here in the Midwest. We got like across the country there was a snowstorm that came through across the whole country, but here in the Midwest, I want to say we got like 12 feet of snow or something like that. A couple days later, some of the snow start going down, and we get more snow. However, this one wasn't expected. Now I'm telling you this for a reason. We went to go get groceries because after you've been snowed in for 3 days, you kind of got to re-up, right? So we go get groceries and we leave in the store, and we like merge onto the highway to start heading back to the crib. I see a swarm of birds over the
Mm-hmm.
horizon, and I notice it, and then it forms into an
Mm-hmm.
arrow pointing directly into the direction of my
Mm-hmm.
house. And I look at it and I'm like, I feel like they're trying to tell me something.
Mm-hmm.
Divine counterpart
Yeah.
right next to me, right? And so she tapped into High Priestess, Divine Channel. So she like, yeah, I just heard that we need to get home soon.
Mm.
So we go home, right? Because I don't play. When the moment the ancestors, nature, etc., tell me to get my butt home, I'm doing it or do
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So I just do it. So I get home. So it starts snowing. We're not expecting another round of snow. But then because it had already snowed a couple days, it's still like on the ground. And what do I see? Black dots all over the yard.
Mm-hmm.
So this wasn't no regular snow, right? That's why they told me to get my butt
Mm-hmm.
home. This was something in the air that whatever metals and
Yeah,
stuff that
yeah,
they be spraying.
definitely.
This was something like that. And I find it interesting. I haven't been sick all winter,
Mm-hmm.
not
Mm-hmm.
really, but there's been a lot of people
Yeah.
that have been sick, and that goes back to, I'm gonna wrap this point up with this. Get back to your comfortability and confidence with the universe and nature, because it talks to
Yes.
you and tells you
Yes.
what is happening
Yes.
around you,
Yes.
even when the world didn't know on the mainstream, because that second wave wasn't expected and it wasn't a normal snow. But
Yes.
anyway, the point being, some people probably got sick because they didn't listen,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Real
right?
talk.
They would have been protected.
Mm-hmm.
You would have been
Yeah.
fine,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's not, don't look for the government to save
Yes.
you. This is the new foundations of your safety are being changed and evolving, and I just think that's so powerful.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that was real. All right, brother. So like I said, we was gonna start wrapping up, and for my family, especially after this show, it's gonna be some people that watch this and say, "Hey, I got to get my stuff together." So for those that are just gonna go ahead and start the journey, what would you tell them if there's one piece of advice for them?
Oh man, that's a beautiful question. Depending on your goal, if your goal is to get healthier, then I would seek somebody that's going to help you on your journey. If your goal is to become more spiritual in tune, I would suggest you seek somebody to help you, but don't rely on anybody, because at the end of the day, the only way out is in. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to do the work. Also, in the times that we're in right now, y'all, make sure you're detoxing. Make
I
sure
know
you're
that's right.
learning the art of fasting.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you're learning the art of eating less. Make sure you're learning the art of meditation. Make sure you're learning the art of yoga, learning how to to stretch and move the energy in your body. Make sure you learn the art of how to dialogue with nature, how to connect with nature. Make sure you learn how to dance, sing, and drum in a way that's going to help you go into a trance so you can start to access higher forms of information that's coming from your ancestors, the creator, and the universe. Make
Mm-hmm.
sure you take the time to detach from social media. Let me
Right.
repeat that. Make sure you take the time to detach from social media, because yes, social media is a beautiful thing. I love TikTok, but you got to learn how to detach. I see people literally be on TikTok live all freaking day. And if you're on
Right.
your spiritual journey, I don't see
There's
how
no
you
way.
I don't see how you can truly tap in if you're online all the time. if you're trying to heal, you have to learn how to detach. You have to learn how to detach. Also, another thing too, if anybody out there is needing assistance on their journey to their spirituality on how to detox, hit me up. I've been doing this work for almost 2 decades. I talked about the people I've studied up under. Um, so you can hit me up. I can help you. I do a divination for you. I create protocols for you. Um, yeah. So that's what I would have to say to anybody that's on their journey. Just keep on growing. Keep on learning. Be open. Be open to knowledge and information. And at the end of the day, we talked about this. Don't be attached to any information, y'all. Learn how to detach from all information, because the more you learn how to detach, the more you can learn. Because once you
Right.
become too attached to information, especially on spirituality, now you just turn into another religion. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Now you become bound to just one frame of thought, and you don't want to do that. You want to be able to expand your mind and learn how everything is interconnected. Because once you start to study
Mm-hmm.
indigenous information from not only here in America, but in Africa as well, and other places around the world, you're going to start to notice the interconnection of it. You're going to notice that they talk about connecting with nature. They talk about using herbs to heal. And they talk about the importance of connecting with your ancestors. That's one of the things that they took away from us, brother. They took away from us acknowledging the power of our ancestors. Because
Yes,
if
sir.
if it wasn't for your mother and your father, good brother, you wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here if it
Yep.
wasn't for my mother and father. And if it wasn't for their mothers and their fathers, they wouldn't be here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because so when you look in the mirror, you just don't see yourself. You see a lineage of great
Mm-hmm.
people that came before you. And now you are a representation of that, of your ancestors. So this is why we have to acknowledge our ancestors, because that's where our true power is at. That's one of the reasons why religion has taught you that was demonic, but at the same time they got you honoring and worshiping Jesus. And there's nothing wrong with Jesus. I respect Jesus. They got you honoring and worshiping Muhammad and Buddha. And in reality, they could be considered ancestors, but not your bloodline ancestors. So the
Right.
ancestral concept is there. If you look on your
Mm-hmm.
money, guess what? You see ancestors. I went to a school
Right.
called Patrick Henry. I mean, they acknowledge the ancestral spirit in
Right.
America.
That's
But
true.
when it comes to indigenous spirituality, they try to demonize it. But in
Right.
reality, it's the essence of who you are.
It's
You
cool
think
when they do it. It's a problem when you do it. Yeah.
exactly. They not like us.
So right, really. No, that's so. I appreciate that breakdown, brother. So, are you actively working on anything that you want to talk about?
Right now, brother, I'm gonna be doing some ceremonial work in my city. This really pushing out the Sangoma energy, this shamanic energy in my city. Also, I'm gonna be doing more online stuff, growing my Facebook following, my TikTok following, doing divinations. Again, a lot of the work that I do is in the community, so I spend a lot of time preparing lessons for my class at the high school I work at. I also work at a Montessori school. Man, the ancestors put me in a position, good brother. I told the ancestors, and I was actually doing meditation on seeing myself being a musician. You know what I'm saying? Getting into music. So to make a long story
Mm-hmm.
short, a woman heard about me doing work in the community at a Montessori school. You know what Montessori schools are? So
Yep.
so
Yep.
at a
Good.
Montessori school, she reached out to me to be a music teacher. Keep in mind, I don't have a music background, so I basically applied for it, and they hired me for it. So now I'm getting paid to do music. You know what I'm saying? Working with children. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's all I'm basically doing community work and just trying to grow my social media following right now. Um,
Absolutely.
that's what
Absolutely.
I'm doing right now.
If somebody needs to reach out to you directly, what do you want them to use to reach out to you
You
specifically?
can hit me up on TikTok. You can hit me on TikTok, Holistic Being #7, or also most people can't say it, but Mkhulu Kulah Makhosina. That's my
I didn't even want to mess it up. I ain't gonna
I
hold you.
respect that. That's all
So
good.
say it one more time for the family.
It's
Say it one more time.
Mkhulu Kulah Makhosina. Mkhulu is basically a title of somebody who has wisdom. Kula means like a leader, a warrior, and Makhosina is somebody with royal bloodline. So that's my ancestral name. Or like I said, or you can look me up on Facebook, Antonio D Stovall. You know what I'm saying? Or you can look me up. That's how you can find me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Brother, I want to thank you so
Hey, I
much for
thank
your
you too, bro.
time,
Hey, like we got
the
over
energy.
100 people right now watching this on TikTok, bro. Listen to this on
Hey, that's
TikTok.
what's up. Hey, give
Yeah, give
thanks,
thanks,
man.
give thanks.
I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody in here listening. Man, it's a great time to be here, family. It may not always seem like it. It may not always feel like it at different times. But when you can not have knowledge of self, you're going to be tapped in this time in a way that is powerful, unique, organic, but also um everything. And you're gonna and I mean everything. You're gonna feel
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And you are the epitome of that, brother. I really appreciate that. Family, I'm Dexter Walker, and I am.
Peace,
Peace.
peace, brother. Take care, brother. Peace.
Step into the light where the dreams unfold. Yeah. Voices from the past, yeah. Whisper in the bowl. Echoes of the soul, searching for the truth. Feel the beats alive. We're living proof. Let's go. Here's to the journey, we stronger together.